At the U.S. Supreme Court today was the issue of gay marriage, specifically California's Proposition 8 that banned same-sex marriage and was ruled unconstitutional. The court's consideration comes as gay marriage has become more accepted in our nation, but you never know that if you were at the high court today. NBC's Steve Handelsman has more.
Outside the Supreme Court, as the California case was argued, supporters of gay marriage,
gay, straight, black or white, marriage is a civil right,
and opponents,
one man, one woman,
clashed intensely. A majority of Americans now back gay marriage, but it's a sudden shift. Not an issue for the high court, argued backers of the California ban.
The place for the decision to be made regarding redefining marriage is with the people, not with the courts.
And some justices seem to agree, worried about a sweeping decision affecting 50 states. Chief Justice John Roberts.
You don't have to include everybody just because some other aspects of it can be applied to them.
Backers of the ban complain gay marriage is not about having kids.
And it will refocus the purpose of marriage and the definition of marriage away from the raising of children.
Justice Elena Kagan countered, California doesn't ban older people getting married.
If both the woman and the man are over the age of 55, there are not a lot of children coming out of that marriage.
Justice Antonin Scalia worried about gay couples parenting a kid.
Whether that is harmful to the child or not.
Swing Justice Anthony Kennedy said banning gay marriage does harm their children.
And they want their parents to have full recognition and full status. The voice of those children is important in this case.
After the arguments, one of those children, a son of Chris Perry and Sandy Steer, who brought the case to get married in California, talked about his 2 moms and 3 brothers.
We love them. We love our family, and we look forward to the day when we equally, just like our neighbors' families. Thank you so much.
I'm Steve Handelsman, NBC News at the Supreme Court.
And this issue in today's look at Proposition 8 hits close to home for many people on both sides. Right now I'm joined by Harry Underwood. He's with the Middle Georgia State College Gay Straight Alliance. Harry, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Well, why don't you start by telling us about what your group is all about?
Well, the Middle Georgia State College Gay Straight Alliance is an organization that was set up back in 2009 in order to advocate for and provide a welcoming environment on campus at the Macon and Warner Robins campuses for people who identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender who may not fit the norms of orientation that are assumed by many other people. And we advocate for diversity on campus. We welcome as many people as possible who may identify as anything regarding sexual orientation or gender identity. We want them to feel that they are not only welcomed, but loved as students and as participants in the student body at Middle Georgia State College.
Well, Harry, obviously we don't have to ask you where you stand on this issue, but you've heard both sides of the argument, the opposers and the people in support of it. Do you feel like this issue has gotten a lot of hateful dialogue between the two sides?
I would say that of course I do have my biases, but when I look at the dialogue that has been traded, not of course also by advocates of LGBT rights or civil rights for LGBT couples, but it's also where we're talking about LGBT people being victimized in this country, at least over the last several years, especially the last 40 or plus years since the Stonewall riots in 1969 in New York City. But we are trying to build a more solidarized environment. In other words, we emphasize the gay as well as the straight. We welcome the people who identify on sexual orientation or gender identity grounds. And we also welcome heterosexual people who do feel that things can be better. Things can be made better on campus, off campus as well.
Speaking, not from your group, but from just watching this whole thing play out in the Supreme Court, do you feel like proponents of, Prop 8 and opposers have kind of crossed the line and gone a little too far with their protests and their outcries? Speak to that.
Well, you're seeing not just here, protest here in this country, in places like Washington, D.C. today, but also seeing protests just recently in London as well as in Paris against marriage equality for same-gender couples with the allegation that we're not homophobic. We are just, we feel that it is the right of the child to have a mother and a father, but at the same time, they have not been able to prove that right when they're talking about two people who are able to raise children and not have an impact upon the sexual orientation or the gender identity of their children.
Harry, I don't mean to cut you off, but we are out of time. But thank you so much for weighing in on this issue. And as always, we want to hear what you think about this issue. The Supreme Court is expected to make a decision in this case in June, and we wrote on our Facebook wall, is Prop 8 unconstitutional? We're taking your thoughts on it. Check out facebook.com/Ashley Minelli News. And when we come back, another look at tonight's forecast with Chris. Stay with us.